Okay, we are back. We are back after a few
Yeah,
weeks.
actually, I changed. I checked today, and it looks like we've been away for 4 weeks, so
Mm,
quite a long time.
very long time.
I actually missed it. Definitely I missed it, and I was worried that maybe I will lose some of
Momentum?
my flow, that I have
Ah,
for those broadcasts. And you know what's interesting, before we went live now, I told you that I'm working on this, on my side project, the idea that I want to get funded. And one of the slides for for pitch deck, as they suggest, should be um, founder's story. And
mm-hmm.
actually, one of the things that I put there is the co-host of Newborn Hustlers, live weekly live broadcast for early entrepreneurs. And do you know why I have put it there?
No,
Not
tell
because
me.
we have like a big following, because we don't have big following, but
Mm.
because of the consistency. It's we are getting close to. So we are doing like it's
74 episodes now.
74 episodes, including this one.
Yes.
So, like, whoever is watching us, listening to us, please message me anything that you did weekly, 74 times. Because
Mm.
maybe I will get another perspective. Maybe it's not so unusual what we do, but I guess very often people start something, and because it doesn't go as they planned for it, then they just leave it there and
Mm.
they don't go back to it. And actually, there
Mm.
was never a debate between us to just leave it. To We were always looking for ways to make it better for us and for the audience. And probably the next discussion about how we can make it better and more engaging for the audience will come after the end of season 2. So probably there will be some changes from season 3, but we will see how it goes. We will see
Yeah.
what reflections we will have at the end of season 2. But overall, I believe that there are more definitely more benefits resulting from us doing this every week than any
Mm.
cons. I
I
can
know we
see
did.
many cons,
Yeah, I
really.
know we do want to. I know this is not the point of the episode, but I also always tell like people about when they ask, I will say, "Oh yeah, I will do a podcast," but no one listens to it. But it's okay. But I mention it when people say, "Oh, how come you're so good at explaining something or articulating something?" I said it's because of all of this practice that we are doing, right? Although no one is listening, but there's a quote that I heard about: "You become who you practice when no one is paying attention." It's like we are brewing here. This is the rent we are paying so that we can
Mhm.
live in a better place. So yeah.
So actually, I have one more thought that like surfaced in my brain recently about this thing, about us doing this broadcast. So one of the most important things to do in modern sales, so the modern art of selling things, is improv. And actually, I because I'm reading this book, "To Sell Is Human" by Dan Pink, or Dan Pinkman, something like that. So this guy, he committed like a whole chapter on improv, how improv is important for selling, for modern selling. And then I was thinking like, wait, how can I start improvising? How can I
Mm,
practice this? And then I realized, well, I'm practicing it every week by going live with Zayne, because of course we make some preparation for the episode, but still we do a lot of improvisation.
Rethinking, exactly. It's on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the main topic of this episode. So, how to find the balance between hustle culture and mental health. The We credit this topic to the fact that on Monday there was like World Mental Health Day.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like before this day. I didn't know that it's coming.
Same.
Uh, Actually, I realized thanks to Formula One because I saw a video of Lewis Hamilton talking about it, like short video on Instagram, and then I found like a full video on Facebook. I've watched it. What F1 drivers are saying about mental health, how they deal with it, how they cope with any mental health struggles they have. So then this idea came to my mind. Let's do an episode about mental health because we did few episodes about mental health in the past, but actually I believe that at this point there is no such thing as uh, optimal number of episodes about mental health. Like
Mm.
there is shortage of knowledge of discussion about mental health, in
Mm.
particular mental health among men, and just two young guys sitting in front of their computer screens late on Wednesday, and we're gonna talk about mental health because it's very serious matter. We don't want to see anyone of our friends. We don't want to see anyone among our friends to struggle because of some mental health problems.
Yeah, and also today I know that you prepared some quotes, right? That we can learn from
Yeah,
people who hustle about what their perspective on mental health is. Then I'm going to add a little bit about an article I wrote on LinkedIn, literally on the World Mental
sure.
Health Day, about my perspective as a mental health volunteer on the front line, helping people. What some of my observations and learnings are. So I think it's going to be a great topic to talk about mental health. So, but let's go. Woo, let's go.
Do you want me to start with the quotes, or do you want
Yeah.
to start with your episode? You know what? I was thinking that maybe discussing quotes from famous people
Mm-hmm.
will be um, will be extremely important because of the fact that very often we perceive celebrities of any sort as superhumans, that people who don't have any weaknesses. But the truth
Yes.
is that they struggle as much as we do. And this time I picked three quotes from people who you would not rather associate them with being like a typical celebrity type, with someone who would be like an advocate for some mental health, but also surprisingly people not from our times. So two of them are not from our times, but let's start with the one from our times, which is Prince Harry. uh, Prince Harry is the ginger one, right? The one
Yes.
who said that he doesn't want to serve the duties of the royal family, right? He's
Yeah.
like living in the States and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay. So probably he's probably the most open for many different things among his family, but still. So he said the experience I have had is that once you start talking about experiencing a mental health struggle, you realize that actually you are part of quite a big club.
Mm.
So that's very powerful in this sense that very often we believe that mental health struggles are just like 1% of people out there. But the truth is that I guess it can be as many as majority of people out there,
Mm.
because people may struggle mentally uh, because of many different factors. It's not only about, I don't know, let's say financial strain that you have. For example, that you are like a single mother of three kids, um, working like low paying job.
Mm,
It's not only it like also it can be I don't know, 12-year-old boy who is bullied at school. It can also be someone who is like 26 years old, like me, for example, uh, being alone, or even being in seemingly healthy and happy relationship,
mm,
but maybe underneath there is something that is like, it's like a burning hole in them.
mm,
So
mm,
they will not show it to you, but it's there. The it's burning hole, so it's getting bigger and bigger, bit by bit, every day, and eventually these people might burst or not, or they will
mm,
just leave it, will live with it.
mm, mm. I
Hard to
agree.
say what's worse, whether to burst or live with it. But the thing is that very often we don't realize who among our friends, family, colleagues, who among the people you see on the bus, on the tram, are struggling with mental health.
Yeah. And especially in this context, when we are talking about, hustling, right? We almost kind of think like, oh, if you're ambitious, you cannot show your weak side, or you cannot show people that you are struggling, because then people might think that, oh, actually you're not as strong as we think you are. And that is just a little bit like naive, and it's a bit stupid, because if you struggle inside, then you are not going to be able to perform on the outside. Or even if you are, you're kind of holding two sides of the forces that don't necessarily fit in well with each other, and you're trying to keep them both burning. So you're burning the candle from both ends, and then sooner than later you will burn out. So yeah, I think, especially when you're someone who works hard, you are tough on the outside, this becomes even more relevant to know that actually you can open up to talk about mental health struggle. And talking about it actually, in my opinion, I think makes you stronger rather than makes you look weak. But for some reason people might think that it makes them look weak, which in my opinion is not right.
Sure, sure,
Mm,
definitely.
mm.
So the next quote will be from the guy who is also British, who
Yes.
was British. So Winston Churchill himself, he said, "If you are going through hell, keep going." Um, I
Mm,
guess I would interpret it probably to some extent. Churchill had something different in mind at,
mm,
at his times. But being, in 2022, I would interpret it in a meaning like, if something bad is happening in your life, it doesn't mean that you should stop and cry over yourself, or just stay in bed for this day. If it's a bad day, if you are going through hell, stay home for a week, for a month, or whatever. No, like, go for it. Maybe like, seeking external help is fine, but at the same time it doesn't mean that you should just stay home, or stay in one place, stop moving,
mm,
metaphorically, and seek for help. I think that you should keep progressing, and at the same time get help.
mm,
So, no, I I
Yeah.
had some mental health struggles in my life even this year. Like I had some hard times related to to my job, to my business, but it didn't stop me from going. I I guess it's good to maybe take a break sometimes,
Mm,
but it's even better to take break to plan your next moves, not just to take a break for the sake of taking break from, oh, it's so hard, I will take a break and I will go back to this so hard life.
mm,
Take a break and come back to this life, but with a plan to make it easier.
mm. Yeah, I think the good way to see this is that hell is kind of a sign of you going towards success, right? It's like no one will never get to success without going through some form of hell. So I think you're right. If you feel like you're going through hell, it's probably because you are getting close to success, and then you have to keep going to get there. Otherwise, if you give up, it's like that's it. But it's in those moments when you need help. What do you do? Do you open up like we just saw, and or do you stay in silent and then you might burn out? In both ways, I think that's where people get wrong about hustle culture. People think you have to keep going, go 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 go, but actually it's about go. And if you get stuck, come back a little, reset yourself, and then go again. So I like this actually. This is quite a good quote. If you're going through hell, keep going. It's simple, but there's so much wisdom in it.
Definitely.
Mm,
And the last quote that I
last
prepared for
quote.
today: I knew well enough that one could fracture one's legs and arms and recover afterward, but I did not know that you could fracture the brain in your head and recover from that too. Vincent van
Ooh,
Gogh, the
true
guy who
story.
cut off his ear. uh, One of the most prominent painters of in history, actually,
Mm,
not only his generation.
mm,
And what's I I think it's I will go even further with this statement, because like how when you damage your ACLs in your knees, right? So when they reconstruct it, then they are like even better when before the injury, right?
mm,
So that's what they say, like once you fracture your ACLs in your knees, then if you restructure it, then they are better than the old ones, the original ones. So I believe that if you damage your brain in some way, damage your mental health in some way, maybe it wasn't you that was the cause, but someone break your mental health for some reason, and you recover from that. Very often, uh, of course, it's not guaranteed, but very often you will, like your brain muscle, your mental health muscle will be stronger than before. Like
mm,
you've been there, you experienced that, so now it's harder to break you, right? So once you will be broken and you recover, you might be even stronger, you might be even harder to be broken again.
mm. Yeah. Did he
Okay.
have some form of brain injury? Is that why he put this quote in? Do you know the background to this quote?
No, no, not
Mm,
no idea at all.
it's okay.
Okay, Zane, can you please present your articles, like the main thoughts of
Yeah,
from your article?
sounds good. And I think, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, on the week of recording this podcast on the Monday, it was World Mental Health Day, and then I decided to write this article in like a post in 15 minutes. And I basically wrote something um, about mental health, as you can see here. So I'm going to read it out for everyone. But just to put in a bit of context, is I spent an average of about 2 hours every week talking to people who struggle with mental health. Most are actually suicidal people, people who actually wants to kill themselves. And then so far I've done about 90 hours, and yeah, I spoke with almost 110 people, and I have some observations on sharing and supporting others who struggle with mental health. So a few points here. One is people don't actually need advice from us. People need us to listen. Our job is to give them a safe space to open up. A lot of the times, I think we think when people come to us with like some mental health struggle, mental health issues, it's instinctual that we almost want to offer some suggestion or advice. It's just natural because we want to help someone, we want to offer a solution. And but what we forgot is that when people actually share with us, I think most people actually know what to do, but they just need someone to listen and feel like you understand their pain, you can see where they're coming from. So because if they can feel that, then they will open up a little bit more. And then once people start talking about it, going back to your first point, actually, once you start talking about experiencing mental health, you're actually part of a big club, and then people will understand that. So that's the first point. Um, Second point on I wrote is just because someone looks great on the outside doesn't mean they don't suffer on the inside. Real struggle is all in silence. So this is just true. Um, when people, this goes back to the hustle thing again. You know, when someone looks tough, they look like everything is going well, etc. on the outside, but inside, are they actually doing well? Or actually, are they actually suffering? We never know. So don't assume that people, if they look great on the outside, they must be like everything is going well for them, everything is working out. Because if they really struggle, a lot of the times that they keep it in silence, and guess what? Most of the people who wants to kill themselves, they won't say it. It will just happen. So that's
Yeah, I've heard about it that if someone is really intending to do it, they don't talk about it. But if they
exactly.
don't really want to do it, they will talk about it. So
Exactly. If
that,
they have the thoughts, but they're not sure yet, they will talk about it. So yes, you're right. Number three is be conscious about whom we share our vulnerabilities with, because the harsh truth is that not everyone appreciates it. People need to earn your trust for you to share your pain. Don't just share with anyone to just say, oh, I'm really struggling X, Y, and Z, because when you choose to open up, some people don't actually appreciate it. Some people actually think, why are you telling me? Go away. I don't want to hear it. Then you will feel like, oh, maybe people don't really care about me. It's actually not that people don't care about you. It's just that you pick the wrong people, hoping that they will care for you. Um, but there are actually people who will care genuinely, but you just need to be careful who you share your pain with, and make sure that the other person actually earns your trust to share that with. For example, like if I have issues, I won't tell everybody. I will look for maybe a few friends that I really can trust, and I'll say, you know what, actually, yeah, I'm having these challenges as well. Um, Last thing I wrote, perhaps most importantly, never assume everyone else shares our level of resilience or issue tolerance. It's the fact that we think we are all the same when we're actually different that makes building rapport a really tough job. And if all is well and no one around you is struggling, that's a great thing. And I just sort of write a sentence to say, yeah, I'm there to help someone if they ever need. And then this is a bit of a nice picture of me attention grabbing as a marketer. You get someone to read your post, you need to make sure that they stop scroll, so then they read. So yeah, that's what I wrote.
okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool. Thank you for sharing it during our broadcast.
it's good.
And I guess that's it for this week. It's almost 25 minutes.
Yes,
Thank you to everyone who is watching, listening to it, and remember to follow us on Instagram and to subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify or whatever podcast platform you are
correct.
listening to it at. And see you next week.
See you next week. Okay.